So you've done your entire edit in Premiere Pro and now you're looking at your export. Why doesn't it look like your timeline in Premiere Pro? Why are the colors and the contrast off? This is a super common occurrence, so I'm gonna give you the quick version of what's going on and why you can fix it. But first, because I'm a benevolent creator, I'm just gonna dive into the fix, because that's probably why you're here. Because I get it, you're probably on a time crunch, you needed this solved 20 minutes ago. So let's dive in. The issue you have is kind of complicated, but it has a nickname of the gamma shift, or the QuickTime gamma shift. The quickest fix is to add this LUT called a gamma curve correction LUT on export. So when you're sending to export directly from Premiere or from Media Encoder, go down to Effects, select LUT, and add this gamma compensation LUT to it. Now, when you export, your timeline will look like what you have in Premiere. This LUT comes directly from Adobe, and I have that LUT linked directly below for you. Now, there's a second easy solve, allegedly. I haven't gotten it to work for me, but other people on the internet are saying that this is an easy solve, so I'm gonna give it to you. Go into the project's color settings and change the gamma setting here to 1.96. So when you export it, it should still reflect what you have in your timeline. Now take that with a grain of salt. Like I just said, I've never gotten it to work for me, but I've read multiple articles, I've seen multiple videos where this has been presented as an option, and I've seen with my own eyes the before and afters of creators sharing that this is an additional solve for them. So good luck, hopefully that works for you. Again, like I said, didn't really work for me, but you never know. Yeah, I mean, you could be in dire straits and you might need that as like a 911 type of option. So I'm gonna give it to you. Now, if you've got the time and the mental capacity to learn about what is actually causing this issue, I'm gonna dive into it in a more simplified version. You can find other people explaining the long of it, and you know, those videos will be an hour plus, but I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version of what's going on. Most commonly, you're gonna see this issue on Mac operating systems and people using Mac displays. So if you're running Premiere Pro on a MacBook, then you're gonna run into this issue every time you export. Okay, so the problem starts with ColorSync. So ColorSync is a tool that's embedded within Mac operating systems as a way to read different color profiles. And it makes sure that the way that you're seeing color is consistent across devices and then when you print something. So ColorSync is designed to make all of those colors consistent. Here is why ColorSync is relevant. And first, you're gonna need to know what a color gamut is, G-A-M-U-T. Likely you've heard this word before, but this is actually what it means. A gamut is a range of colors that a device or a printer can display. So take a look here at this little graphic. It shows a couple different gamuts and how much color that they can display. You'll see here you have Rec 709, you have P3, you have Adobe RGB. Typically cameras record in Rec 709 or in a log, and then the camera will, or the camera company will provide a Rec 709 camera LUT to convert it. Here's why this graphic is important. You can kind of see the issue. Our Apple monitors display in P3 and cameras are recording in Rec 709. So you see that there's a difference there and it needs to be converted. So there's a conversion of Rec 709 footage that needs to be displayed on P3 monitors. And ColorSync is the program that does that conversion. And there's one thing important to note, that not all apps use ColorSync in monitoring their color profiles. So QuickTime, Premiere, Chrome, Safari, those are examples of common apps that are all using ColorSync. However, apps like VLC don't use ColorSync. In addition to the colors being off, like I just explained with the color gamuts, the second part of the issue is contrast and brightness. And here's what's causing that. Again, we have to do a little bit of a vocab lesson, so buckle in. Gamma as a term is great because it helps you quantify how much contrast that any display has. So instead of some like nebulous term, you know, a couple clicks here or there, like what I hear all the time as an editor, you have an actual quantifiable term, and that's gamma. And so with gamma, the higher the number, the higher the contrast. And it's kind of like a tone curve, which you can see here how the higher the number is, the more intense the tone curve is, the higher the contrast. And it's helpful to know, for one, what gamma is and be able to change the gamma because different displays look differently in different types of light, right? Like, have you ever been to the beach and you have to turn your brightness all the way up because you can't see because of how bright it is outside? Whereas sometimes if you go into a movie theater, it's so dark that you have to turn your brightness all the way down. It's a similar thing. The same display will look different in different types of light. So this is very nerdy and techy, but for reference, movie theaters use a gamma of 2.6 because it's super dim in there. It's helpful to have extra contrast. Most PCs are at 2.2 because they're in a brighter light. But here's the kicker, and nobody knows why. Well, some people along the way know why, but I could not explain to you why. Apple decided to make the gamut of Apple devices 1.96, which is not not like a standardized unit. They decided to, you know, do their little Apple thing as they always do and go against the grain. So Apple displays are at 1.96 gamut. And because gamut is one of those values that's managed by ColorSync, anything that's viewed in QuickTime, Chrome, Safari, so those colors and the gamut are gonna look off. And truthfully, that's the short of the issue. Like, there's so much more that you can go into, but frankly, I think for most people and most purposes, it's not necessary. If you're super into it, like I said, there are people that really go into the issue, really examine the tech. If you're into that, go ahead. But again, this is the high level need to know version, so you have an operating understanding of what's going on with your devices and with the color. And hopefully that helped. Again, like I said, the LUT is the easiest way to go. I use this LUT all the time. I mean, I'm not a colorist. So one thing that I tell myself to get myself through when I'm having these like huge color issues is that honestly, at the end of the day, everybody's device is going to look a little bit different. You know, even if you are using an iPhone and a Mac and an Apple display, if you have your creative director watching it on their phone in the car, it's going to look different than what you did in your pitch black dark studio. So sometimes with this color stuff, I just let go and let God. And I often use this LUT. It helps out a lot, but at the end of the day, I have to tell myself the color is always going to look a little bit different. What matters to me is that the person that I'm reviewing this with is reviewing all the exports on a consistent device, and so they can see, you know, the changes and the edits that I've made and make sure that it's in a good place for what they're looking for. Because let me tell you, color will drive you crazy, cuckoo bananas, if you're not careful. But yeah, I really hope that this was helpful. Again, link for that LUT is below. If you guys have any questions or topics that you feel would be helpful for me to cover, give you a high level Reader's Digest version of what's going on with your video production tech, let me know. Happy to dive in. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.